Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, we're diving into three powerful eras that have shaped the world of agriculture. After the end of World War II, the world stepped into what became known as the Era of Optimism. Spanning from 1946 to 1962, it was a time marked by recovery, hope, and forward-looking development. For agriculture, this era signaled the beginning of Golden Age, an extraordinary period of growth, innovation, and transformation. Agriculture was no longer seen as just rural occupation. It became driving force for economic stability, progress, powered by advancement in technology, science, and strong policy support. One of the biggest changes was the mechanization and modernization of farming. Tractors and machinery rapidly replaced manual labor and animal-powered tools. With these machines, farmers could cultivate larger plots of land, and planting and harvesting became faster and more efficient than ever before. Alongside machines came the chemical revolution. Synthetic fertilizers began to significantly boost soil fertility, while pesticides helped farmers protect their crops from pests and diseases. This innovation greatly increased food production, setting the stage for feeding a rapidly growing population. Meanwhile, the rise of scientific farming reshaped how agriculture was practiced. Hybrid seeds were introduced, designed to produce higher yields and better resistance to environmental stress. Agricultural research focused heavily on plant breeding, soil science, and improved farming techniques for further elevating productivity. Governments play a vital role during this time. Through subsidies, price support program, and investment in rural infrastructure, policymakers ensured that farmers had the tools, resources, and stability they needed to modernize and succeed. Programs like rural electrification brought modern comforts to the countryside, changing the face of rural life forever. The impact of this era was not limited to individual nations. Globally, the Marshall Plan helped rebuild Europe after the war, and agricultural assistance was a major part of that recovery. Scientific farming method spread around the world, and the early foundation of the Green Revolution were laid, paving the way for future breakthrough in food security. Socially, the landscape of farming changed too, with farms became larger and more commercial. Many small farmers left the countryside. A wave of urban migration began as the people moved to cities in search of industrial jobs, making a major demographic shift. After the era of optimism, era of doubt was began to take shape around 1962, lasting through 1976. This period marked a growing awareness that the rapid advancement in agriculture and in society at large were not without serious consequences. In agriculture, doubts began to surface about environmental, social, and health impact of modern farming practices. People start to ask the question: were chemicals truly safe? Was bigger always better? What we were sacrificing for the sake of high yields? A major spark came in 1962 with the publication of Russell Carson's landmark book, Silent Spring. Carson exposed the dangers of widespread pesticide use, particularly DDT, revealing how these chemicals not only harm pests but also birds, animals, and humans. Her work changes and challenges the public blind faith in chemical solutions and raise concern about the long-term sustainability of modern agriculture. As doubt grew, the concept of environmental stewardship started to gain attention. Farmers, scientists, and policymakers began to realize that soil degradation, water pollution, and loss of biodiversity were real threats. Meanwhile, the Green Revolution was spreading, especially in Asia and Latin America. Higher yield of crop varieties, fertilizer, and irrigation dramatically increased food production, but they also widened the gap between rich and poor farmers. Small farmers often could not afford the expensive inputs needed for these new farming methods, leading to social inequality and rural displacement. In the political arena, government responded by introducing early environmental regulations. For example, in the United States, the Environmental Protection Agency was founded in 1970, and the new laws began to control pesticide use, protect clean air and water, and preserve natural resources. Yet, despite the rising concern, the global push for increased food production remained strong. The challenge was clear: how could humanity balance the needs to feed a growing population and responsibility to protect the environment? Following the era of doubt, agriculture entered to a new phase, the era of IPM, or Integrated Pest Management. Beginning in the late 1970s and continuing to the present day, this era is defined by a more careful, balanced approach to farming, one that seeks to protect crops while also protecting the environment. The problems exposed during the 1960s and 1970s, chemical overuse, soil degradation, and biodiversity loss, could no longer be ignored. Farmers, scientists, and policymakers realized that relying solely on chemical pesticide was unsustainable. It leads to pest resistance, environmental damage, and health risk. A philosophy was needed, one based on ecological balance, not just chemical control. Thus, integrated pest management emerged. IPM is not a single method, it is a strategic, science-based approach that combines multiple techniques to manage pests in the most economical, environmentally friendly, and socially responsible way. IPM practice includes monitoring of pest population, using a biological control, applying of cultural control, using of chemical pesticide only when truly necessary. The goal of IPM is to keep pest population below damaging levels, not to eliminate them completely, while minimizing the risk to people, animal, and the environment. Governments, university, and international organizations embrace IPM. Training programs, research centers, and public policies began promoting integrated pest management as standard of modern farming. Today, IPM is a key pillar of sustainable agriculture. It works alongside other movements such as organic farming, regenerative agriculture, and climate-smart agriculture, helping to build farming systems that are productive, resilient, and environmentally responsible. Despite of challenges such as climate change, evolving pests, and global food demand, the era of IPM represents a hopeful path forward, a way to nourish humanity while protecting the natural world that sustains us.
Let us recap our topic. Number 1, Era of Optimism, which began on 1946 and ended on 1962. Number 2, Era of Doubts, which began on 1962 and ended on 1970. Number 3, Era of IPM, which began on 1970 up to present day. The Era of Optimism is an era of producing and planting hybrid seeds, uses of chemical pesticide leading to green revolution and farm mechanization. Era of Doubt is an era of asking questions about the effect of planting hybrid crops, farm mechanization, and using of pesticide for pest management. Era of IPM is an era that concerned about increasing of food production but protecting the environment, non-target organism, and human health. Thank you everyone, hoping that you learned from this video. Please subscribe to this channel for more information.